It's been several months since we last saw the NXT Heritage Cup Championship in NXT. The last time we did see it, it was a few months ago when Tony D'Angelo threw it over the bridge and into the ocean on NXT. Since then, many fans have been asking what has happened to the Cub, and will it make a comeback? Well, that is exactly what we're going to be talking about today because there is a lot to discuss, including its history, which dates back to NXT UK, where the first ever champion, which I believe was none other than A Kid. I believe it was A Kid, if I remember correct. If I remember correctly, I believe it was A Kid who became the first ever NXT Heritage Cup champion. And if I'm right on this, hold on, give me 1 second, guys. Here we are. Heritage Cup. So as of right now, the Heritage Cup is currently being held by none other than Channing Stacks Lorenzo, who has held the cup for only 74 days. So as I said, just a little over a couple months ago, we saw Tony D'Angelo take the cup and fling it over the bridge and into the ocean in NXT. Since its inception, inception on November 6th, 2020, the NXT Heritage Cup has seen some incredible champions over the years, including the first ever champion named A Kid. A Kid was a guy who was always he was always so methodical, so intense when it comes to being in the ring, and he became the first ever champion, holding on to the cup for 174 days. Since then, several others have held the cup, including guys like Tyler Bate, who held the cup for 160 days. Noam Dar, who is the only four-time Heritage Cup champion in history, holding it for a combined over 400 days, which is amazing, which is absolutely crazy. Then of course you had guys like Mark Coffey, Nathan Fraser. You had Charlie Dempsey, Tony D'Angelo, Lexis King, and then of course the cup got vacated when Noam Dar suffered a devastating injury earlier this year, back in June. In fact, he had to give up the cup on June 21st of this year, so it was just a few months ago. It was literally just a few months ago. And then a few days later, Stacks became champion, and now he is held. And now he is the current cup holder. But yet we don't know where what has happened to the cup. But for those who have never heard of the NXT Heritage Cup Championship, the cup itself, the match itself, the cup matches, they all get contested under British rounds rule. So what that means is there are 6 3-minute rounds, and it's best it's best 2 out of 3. Whoever scores 2 falls wins it, and it can be won by pinfall, submission, count out, disqualification, or by knockout. In the event in the event of a knockout, the match ends right off the bat. In the event, I believe it's in the event of a disqualification, depending. I believe it's in the event of a disqualification, the champion retains. In the event of a draw, the champion retains. And for those who do not know, Noam Dar actually brought the NXT Heritage Cup to NXT in the right around the summer of 2023. So literally just a couple years ago. And the crazy thing is that you would think that Stacks would have found some way to bring back the NXT Heritage Cup, but nothing. He has yet to even attempt to bring back the NXT Heritage Cup. So there have been some rumors that I've been seeing on social media. One of the biggest rumors is that WWE is planning to scrap the NXT Heritage Cup and its legacy. Others believe that the NXT Heritage Cup never should have even made it to NXT in the first place. In fact, some people believe that the Heritage Cup should have stayed in NXT. Should have retired alongside NXT UK, because the moment NXT UK had retired, that was when WWE had released more than 3 dozen talent, producers, camera crew, ring announcers, and everything, and everyone else in between, including guys like Rohan Raja, Teo Man, guys like oh my god, there are so many of them. Oh my god, what's another Zaya Brookside, Eliza Alexander, Amel, who else can I think of that was there? Sam Gradwell, Shaw Samuels, I think was his name. Andy Shepherd. I believe they also released Nigel McGuinness, which is a bit unfortunate, because he was a hell of a commentator, not only for NXT but also for NXT UK. He was a hell of a commentator. Really methodical with his words on commentary. There were several others that ended up staying in WWE. Nathan Fraser was one. Gunter was another one. Ludwig Kaiser. Who else? Noam Dar, Oral Mensa stayed for a minute. That was until he got released just a little over a month ago. A little over a couple months ago. Who else? There were so many of them. There were so many people that got released. Again, Zaya Brookside was another. And then I believe Mark Coffey ended up getting released. Olive Gallus got released for a minute, but then ended up back in WWE on NXT for a while. So you already know. But yeah, there have been rumors that from from the fans. They believe that the Heritage Cup should have retired with NXT UK, but I don't see it that way. I think the I think the Heritage Cup was a good way for NXT to introduce underrated talent that deserve more opportunities than people may believe. And it worked out. It literally worked out. Excuse me. For guys like Nathan Fraser, Charlie Dempsey, Tony D'Angelo, Lexis King. I would say that it's working for Stax, but again, Stax has been too busy with Ariana Grace, and apparently they've been hitting it off on screen for a minute now. So it's hard. It's kind of hard to say when we can expect the Heritage Cup, but given the fact that we haven't seen Luca Crucifino in a hot minute, the fact that we're expected to see Tony D'Angelo show up to the main roster by the end of the year, I'm assuming that the Heritage Cup could probably make its comeback sometime between now and possibly their final PLE of the year, which should be NXT Deadline. And I believe Deadline should be the final PLE of the year, but they may also end up doing instead of doing NXT Deadline, they should do a PLE named after the same pay-per-view that TNA once used, which was Final Resolution. Maybe that could be a possibility. Maybe they might bring in the TNA pay-per-view Against All Odds. Could be interesting. But I'm assuming that we'll probably expect the cup to return sometime between now and then. But even if that does happen, Stax will have to defend the cup at some point. And the question is, who should take that challenge? Crazy as it sounds, anybody could take it. Charlie Dempsey could take up that challenge. We could see Jasper Troy take up that challenge. We could see Sean Spears take up that challenge. I know that he admitted in some interview that he was content with becoming North American champion because he admitted that he wanted to win at least one championship before he retired completely, and coming back to WWE, coming back to NXT was the way for him to end his career on his terms. So by forming the culling with Nico Vance, Izzy Dame, and Tatum Paxley, he can truly give those three a chance to feel, experience what it feels like to be a champion in NXT, and the NXT North American title was that start for Sean Spears. So we could definitely expect Sean Spears to potentially take up that challenge. Maybe even Ricky Saints. And I mean, I know he's been red hot for the last few months now, since he debuted earlier this year in the summer. So it's earlier this year in the fall. I think in the fall. I think it was earlier this year in the spring, wasn't it? Was it the spring? Let me go back. Yes, it was actually earlier this year. Right around the time of Vengeance Day, funny enough. If I remember right. So earlier this spring was when Ricky Saints has been, he had been doing his own thing. He's been and he's been red hot ever since. So maybe Ricky Saints, who knows? But I will say to close out this video, I'll say this: if the Heritage Cup returns, we can 100% expect Stacks to defend the Cup at some point. But if it doesn't come back, and it truly is retired and it's truly scrapped, one has to wonder if Ava is going to give Stacks a title opportunity as a suitable replacement. That's the one question that we all have to ask ourselves: is Stacks going to be the next Tony D'Angelo? Is he going to be the next the next Johnny Gargano, the next Tommaso Ciampa, the next Adam Cole? Is he going to be the guy to take NXT into a new era in the next 5, maybe 10 years? Is it possible? 100%, absolutely, 100%. I can totally see Stacks being that guy. But if there's one thing that history has taught us, whenever you are in a faction, if you get called up to the main roster, your faction comes with you. So because that Tony D'Angelo is expected to be on the main roster possibly by the end of this year, maybe we might see the D'Angelo family make it triumphant return. Who knows? Only time will tell. But yeah, I think Ava needs to do something about the Heritage Cup, because we haven't heard much of it at all. So who knows? But with that being said, that'll do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more WWE topic videos in the future, then be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and as always, make sure you guys are following me on all my social media. All of my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.